Have you heard of a Meet Cute? It's the story of how you met your loved one. You often see them in rom-coms, but I know some of you out there have your very own Meet Cute story to share. We want to hear from you since it's Valentine's Day. Tell us how you met your partner or maybe a good friend. We'll take those calls just after our 12:30 news. Also still ahead, tradition and entertainment. The Northern Manitoba Trappers Festival is officially underway in the Paw. We'll find out what's new this year coming up on Radio Noon. A quick look at our weather forecast. We will remain 10 to 15 degrees below seasonal temperatures in these next few days. We do start to trend upward by the end of next week. Here in Winnipeg, we're looking at minus 19 at the Forks, feeling like minus 23 with that wind chill. Tomorrow, Saturday, mix of sun and clouds, a high of minus 19. Sunday, high of minus 20. Right now in Brandon, still under an extreme cold warning, minus 21 at the airport, feels like minus 33 with the wind chill. In the Paw, minus 25, feels like minus 30. And in Thompson, extreme cold warning also in effect in Thompson, minus 27 at the airport, feeling like minus 36. Well, from World Championship dog races to King and Queen competitions, those are just two of 20 events happening at the Northern Manitoba Trappers Festival in the Paw. It's Manitoba's longest-running winter festival. It's now underway at the Paw Regional Library Annex. It has a rich history. It's best known for the place where dog mushers from around the world meet to race on one of the best dog race trails on the circuit. Gloria Valentine Bacco is the festival's Director of Public Relations and joins us now. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I know you just stepped out of an event here to join us, so thank you. How is the festival going so far?
It's going amazing. Every year, just the vibe and the energy within the community is something that's truly unmatched.
Amazing. So what event did you take a quick step aside from at the moment?
Yeah, so we're here at event headquarters at the Wascana Inn, and I just stepped out from the Junior King and Queen leg wrestling competition.
Leg wrestling?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay.
Good one.
How does... I think I've tried leg wrestling before in school, but how would you describe, how does leg wrestling work?
Well, so you get two people, they lay opposite ends of each other with their arms intertwined, and then they get the legs that are closest to the other person up about 3 times, and then they go, and really you go until someone flips over.
Right.
So it's based on strength and all of that. It's something that, like you said, you did it in school with growing up in the Paw and area. We have trappers events that are done throughout the school, whether it's elementary school, high school. So when you grow up here, you grow up around trappers.
And is that an activity that trappers would, or that trappers still do take part in, or how does that work into the history of the festival?
I think it's more so about the strength of people. So it is able to showcase how strong that the trappers have been and still are, and all of that.
Nice. And so you're currently in your car. You just stepped out. You're dressed for the weather. Is it minus 35? That's what I'm looking at right now. What temperature is it right now?
Let me see here. My car says minus 30, but with wind chill, I'm sure it's higher than that.
Amazing. So how are folks keeping warm? I know there's a lot of outdoor activities as part of this festival.
Yeah, there is a lot of outdoor activities. So us Northerners, we're used to cold, but I think wearing the fur helps, obviously, like the hand warmers and feet warmers, and just the basic layering and stuff like that, keeping warm, popping in and out of places when you need to. And that's what our headquarters are for, too.
Right. And Gloria, you are rocking the fur today. I have to say that.
Thank you. My mom made it.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now, the dog races are the marquee event. Can you tell us about how many competitors they are and where they all come from?
Yeah, so we have, I believe, over a dozen. I'm not sure about the exact number, but they come from all over the world. I know we have a few folks from the States and their teams. We have people from all over Canada that have come to compete. And today, the races are actually starting a little later, so around 12 and 12:30 because of the weather. Like we want
Hmm.
to obviously make sure that the dogs are good and safe and healthy enough to be able to race. So that's one thing that I am truly amazed at the people who look after that event is their dogs are their number one priority.
Hmm. What do you hear from people who come from either the States or from outside of Canada? What do you hear from them about how their experience in the paw and at the festival?
Oh, I have heard many great things, obviously. So there's so much more events than just like the dog races or the king and queen events, the junior king and queen events. We also have a fur queen pageant. So we have candidates from all over our community. Some people have come in from other communities up north and to do that and just bring the festival hype and um, create such a great atmosphere. I know a couple of years ago we had some people from England come. So yeah, people from all over the world, and they just say what we're used to hearing, if I can say that, is that the northern community is so welcoming and everything about Trappers is just so exciting, and it's a great event for the community to come together. We have a lot of pride in the Trappers Festival, and it's something that helps us get out of the winter blues.
Hmm. Yeah, now is the time to do that, most definitely.
Yeah.
Gloria, do you remember your first time at the festival, your first interaction with the festival? Like, how long have you been taking part in this?
Well, I actually grew up in the Paw, so I've been around it all my life. I remember being in elementary school and the fur queens coming to visit us during an assembly and just talking and seeing how great they were, and the events in school we would do, just growing up and all of that. And my involvement with Trappers Festival, I actually ran for Fur Queen in 2023 and was crowned the Fur Queen 2023. So
Congratulations.
thank you. So last year I handed over the reign to our 2024 Fur Queen, Linnell Bond, as well as our court. So there's first princess, second princess as well. So those are titles too. And yeah, now I am on the board of directors as public relations. And it's just something that is just a part of me and a part of all of us here in the North.
Well, I should have addressed you as Your Highness when we first started talking. That's fantastic, Gloria. How important would you say this festival is for the community? You mentioned that this has been something that's been in your life since you were a kid. What impact does that have on community members?
Oh, it builds strong relationships, not just with local organizations and businesses, but we have on average 200 volunteers that volunteer every year for different events and just to help with all of that. And again, like I said, it brings such a sense of pride, and not only just in the festival, and that is the longest running winter festival in Manitoba, but it's a generational thing. Like there's so many families within the community that their grandfathers competed or their dads, and we over the years we've had a lot of father son, mother daughter duos compete in junior king and queen, regular king and queens at the same time. So it's just something that's so ingrained in the the time of the year and within families in the community. Like, yeah, just somebody within the community will always have a memory of Trappers to share and an exciting moment that they may have had. So it brings everyone together, makes everyone have a sense of pride in our local communities, because we are a tri community. So there's a lot of us.
What do you mean by tri community?
So within our area, there is the town of the Paw, the RM of Kelsey, and the Opaskwayak Cree Nation. So
Okay.
we're all in this one area, and we all work together throughout the year and throughout Trappers to make sure that people who are coming into our community feel feel excited as us and just ready for whatever event there may be.
Lovely. Before I let you go here, Gloria, what are you most looking forward to? I know the festival runs until Sunday. What are you personally most excited about?
I think that my answer is a little biased because of my history.
Okay.
But I am always super excited to see who the next for Queen Court is going to be. So the crowning happens on Saturday at the fort. So Fort Whoopitup, the ice fort, all of that down by the river. And we get to see who will be the next ambassadors for festival throughout the year.
Oh, so fun. So exciting. Gloria, thank you for joining us. I'm going to let you get back to the leg wrestling because I can only imagine how fun that is just to watch and to be in that room.
Yes.
But
the energy is insane.
Oh, I can only imagine. Gloria, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Gloria Valentine Bacco is the Northern Manitoba Trappers Festival Director of Public Relations. For more information on the festival, visit trappersfestival.ca, and it runs through till Sunday. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1. Got a good Manitoba love song for you. This one is about when kind of love comes out of the blue, just hits ya. Here for Valentine's Day, this is Del Barber with Love Is Just a Wrecking Ball.
Blowing south, they're begging me to leave the home that has been built on these sharp shoulders. On a dark and frozen morning in the cave of February, Chicago calls and I can't, no, I can't let down. If there ever was a way I could keep these boots moving without stirring up trouble like I always do. My feet, they find those landmines and my heart's just a loaded gun. Desire's got his finger on the trigger, and he's asking about you. Arizona skin and dark Alaskan curls. Remember hers just lose the ground there steady. See, love is just a wrecking ball and I am just a fool. Now revel in that chance, waltz with us along the shore on a day of breakfast smiles and too much coffee. 'Cause I'm an old stubborn salmon swimming just to die. She's got hooks sharp enough to catch me. She got eyes as wide as Kansas, Arizona skin and dark Alaskan curls.
That's Del Barber with Love Is Just a Wrecking Ball. It's a good one for Valentine's Day, one of my personal faves. Del is currently on his final tour, wrapping up with a final show at Winnipeg's Park Theatre on February 28th. I believe an additional day has been added to that as well. Well, coming up on Radio Noon, it's Valentine's Day, and our calling conversation is all about meet cutes. How did you meet your partner or perhaps an old friend? We want to hear your meet cute stories. The phone line's open at 12:30, just after your CBC local news.
This is CBC News. At 12:30, we're at minus 19 degrees with mainly sunny skies over downtown Winnipeg. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Humphrey. Police have announced more charges against a former Winnipeg instructor. Matthew James Mousseau is already facing charges involving a sexually exploitative relationship with a student and for hurting and having exploitative conversations with 4 survivors, all between the ages of 12 and 17. Police have now charged the 37-year-old with 5 new offenses. Those include luring and child pornography charges, 2 counts of sexual interference, and supplying liquor to a minor. Mousseau is currently in custody at the Headingley Correctional Center. The future of Ukraine topped the agenda at an international security conference in Munich. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio were there, as was Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. And while Russia was not invited, it is dominating discussions. Abby Kuathasan has the latest.
A failed Ukraine would weaken Europe, but it would also weaken the United States.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen repeated her message at the Munich Security Conference. Allies on the continent are worried that the new U.S. administration may already be looking to appease Vladimir Putin in order to lock up a peace agreement, even one that rewards the Russian president. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country must not be left out of any negotiations.
This is principal position. We will never accept it. All our people, all our nation. I don't want to be those person in the history who helped Putin to occupy my country.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said a reasonable settlement is possible, but provided no specifics. Europe says it's ready to do even more to support Ukraine, but acknowledges they need Washington's ongoing support to ward off any future threats from the Kremlin. Abby Kualdasin, CBC News, Berlin.
Finally, the red and white maple flag turns 60 tomorrow. Flag Day has been celebrated every year since February 15th, 1965, the first time the flag was raised on Parliament Hill. 5 former prime ministers, both conservative and liberal, are urging Canadians to raise the flag as a show of strength in the face of American threats. Retired veteran Bruce Stock spoke at a news conference ahead of Flag Day.
Without you, dear flag, Canada wouldn't exist. Come every February the 15th. We will all celebrate your gift to us from coast to blessed coast.
U.S. President Donald Trump has been threatening the Canadian economy and indeed Canada's independence. And that is your CBC News from Winnipeg. For news anytime, you can head to our website, cbc.ca/Manitoba, or you can use the CBC News app.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Back soon.
That was CBC's Matt Humphrey. I'm Chloe Friesen. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, or perhaps you're watching on YouTube or listening through our CBC Listen app. Riley Lachuk, weather specialist, joins us now for a look at our Valentine's Day forecast. If folks are planning on heading out for a date or maybe just Galentine's Day, that's a thing, what should they be wearing out there when they're walking downtown?
Something to warm the heart.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
Dress appropriately.
Yeah, it's cold.
Dress warm out there. It's cold. Minus 21 in Winnipeg right now and in Brandon. Minus 24 in Swan River. Minus 26 in Swan River. Minus 24 in Dauphin at the moment. And minus 32 in Churchill right now. Yeah, it's another cold one out there. A little bit of sun here in the downtown now. There's actually been a fairly considerable amount of cloud across southern Manitoba at the moment. Somewhat holding temperatures a little bit warmer, somewhat, but still quite a ways below seasonal for this time of the year. So, extreme cold warning still in place for the Parkland, Westman, the Inner Lake into eastern Manitoba, and much of the north. We're looking at wind chill values, particularly in northern Manitoba, close to minus 50 again overnight tonight into the early morning on Saturday. So another dangerously cold night ahead. Again, I said there's some considerable cloud cover across southern Manitoba right now, but it's relatively thin, this layer of cloud. So you are seeing the sun through it, but a mostly cloudy afternoon for many of us with some peaks of sunshine through some of that cloud as we get through the afternoon. The weekend, pretty calm. Mostly sunny skies, bit of cloud here and there. So general sun-cloud mix through Saturday into Sunday, a bit sunnier once again, and that trend continuing into next week. I'm hopeful Winnipeg gets to minus 18 this afternoon, minus 19s through Portage and Brandon, minus 22 in Dauphin, minus 23 in Thompson. So again, temperatures that are 12, 13 degrees below seasonal for this time of the year, but there is a little bit of hope on the horizon here. If you're not a fan of the cold, minus 19 for Saturday, minus 20s into early next week. And then starting on Wednesday, we start to trend upward. By the time we get to the end of next week, I've got Winnipeg back at minus 10, which is still below seasonal, but a lot better than minus 22.
Okay, I like to hear that. And on behalf of you, Riley, I'm just going to tell people, your jacket is not going to ruin your outfit.
No, it will not.
I promise. The layers are going to look great. You're headed out on a date. warm heart, warm jacket, warm heart.
And wear socks, please.
Socks.
And
yes.
shoes.
Socks and shoes.
Boots,
Maybe not heels tonight. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend.
You too. CBC weather specialist Riley Lachuk. I'm Chloe Friesen. Thank you for tuning in to Radio Noon. And as you've been hearing throughout the show, it's Valentine's Day, and there's no shortage of rom-coms to watch.
That book's really not great. Just in case, browsing turned to buy. You'd be wasting your money. But if it's Turkey you're interested in, this one, on the other hand, is very good. I think the man who wrote it has actually been to Turkey, which helps. There's also a very amusing incident with a kebab, which is one of many amusing incidents.
Thanks, I'll think about it.
It's a clip from the iconic 1999 film Notting Hill. It's the scene where Hugh Grant's character and Julia Roberts' character meet. Some would call it a meet cute. That's when two people meet and sparks fly, or in that case, they don't really. But the characters usually overcome a few obstacles, and usually end up together happily ever after. Now, if you're in a relationship, whether it's romantic or platonic, and whether it's 5 days old or 5 decades old, we want to hear your meet cute story. You can call us at 204-780-0893. That's 204-780-0893. Or send us a text at 204-588-7355. That's 204-588-7355. Our guest is Sabrina Friesen. She's the creator of Winnipeg Connect Events, a speed dating and speed friending business. Hi, Sabrina.
Hey, Chloe, thanks for having me.
So you're a creator of an event company that brings people together. That's the goal. You must be responsible for a few meet cute stories. Are there a few that stand out to you?
Definitely. Yeah, I think there's some dating ones, and there are a bunch of friends stories that actually were really heartwarming. And so every now and then after an event, I'll get a message from somebody telling me about the friendship or the partnership that they made. And so one of our early speed dating events, there was a crew of women that formed and kept connecting. And I got a picture from them on a girls' trip to Lake Louise of the 4 or 5 of them standing in the mountains. And it just sparks flew and friendship was formed, even though it was a speed dating event.
Yeah, so they were likely not there to meet each other.
Right. That has been an interesting part. At speed dating events, what ended up happening is people made community of all sorts. Sometimes it was dating community, but more often than not, people left with a new friend or a new crew of people to go out and connect and do things with. So pretty exciting.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that. Now, I mentioned the term meet cute. It's used in rom-coms or romance novels. It's kind of an iconic little moment in those films or books. Why do you think that those first encounters, whether it's for friendship or a romantic relationship, why do you think they stand out in our minds and we just kind of attach a lot of memories to them?
Yeah, I think there is an energy when you meet somebody in person and you just kind of get a feel for what they're putting out. And so there's some sort of electricity or mutual interest that kind of meets in the space between people, whether it's for romance or platonic friendship. And so I think something energetically is happening in those moments that really kind of solidifies it as an important moment for us.
Now, I want folks to call in, of course, with their meet cute stories. Tell us about the first moment you met your perhaps partner of 5 days, 5 years, 50 years, or friendship as well. You can call us at 204-780-0893 or text us at 204-588-7355. Now, Sabrina, I'm gonna start things off. I have a bit of a meet cute story with my partner. We have been married for 2.5 years. And we met online, as a lot of people do. Then shortly realized we grew up half an hour away from each other in rural Manitoba and had met in Winnipeg. But I would say the meet cute moment was on our very first date. It was freezing outside. It was around these temperatures. We decided to go to a coffee shop. Coffee shop was full, so we took our coffees and we decided to go for a walk. Probably
Amazing.
Not a great decision. It was freezing. And the moment that stands out to both of us is my nose starts dripping uncontrollably, and it sounds gross. But as this is happening, my now partner goes, "Aw, how endearing." They say that for some reason. And apparently it was me just with my nose dripping in the cold that kind of brought down those
Love
walls.
it.
We realized we were both very much human beings and made things a lot less awkward. And so, yeah, it was my runny nose that started things.
I love how ordinary and just, yeah, there's nothing exceptionally romantic about that, right?
Not
And I
at
don't think a
all.
meet cute needs to be. I think there's this like magical kind of safety to be who we are, and it feels good to be us in the presence of the other person. And so I love how ordinary that little moment is.
Do you have any favorite rom-com or book meet cutes? Anything in media that you love to think about or just stick in your mind?
That's an interesting one. I'm not actually like a deeply romantic person, which is very strange that I hosted events.
Interesting.
So like I'm not a rom-com watcher, barring like Runaway Bride and like, I don't know, some good old Julia Roberts stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. So I got nothing for you there.
Well, we want folks to share their meet cute stories, their first meeting stories. Hopefully, you have something to beat my runny nose story. You can call us at 204-780-0893. You can also give a shout out to your Valentine or text us at 204-588-7355. Now, we are speaking with Sabrina Friesen, creator of Winnipeg Connect Events. It's a speed dating and speed friending business. Now, Sabrina, what is the range of speed friending and speed dating events that you've held since Winnipeg Connect events began? Like, how different are each one?
So we began in June of 2022, and we have officially wrapped up formal events in October of 2024. I could say more about that. Other people are picking up the ball and moving into the speed dating market, which is awesome. The youngest we've had is 19 years old, and the oldest we had a 55 plus to end out all of our speed dating events. And we would run events kind of in a 10-ish year age group. And so, yeah, all the way from 19 up, we had people up into their 60s. And yeah, everybody in all different ages were looking for ways to connect. There was no age left out.
I love that you did a 55 plus event. How did that differ from maybe the folks in their 20s that were looking for love?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Each event kind of had their own vibe and their own kind of energy to it, and some were a little bit more easeful, some were a little bit more anxious. I found in some of the older ranges, folks felt a little bit more settled in who they were. Some of the social skills and the ability just to talk with ease to people was a little bit more honed in some of like the 40 plus crew. I think those of us who grew up not online maybe have had a different experience kind of through our teenage years in connecting with people. And so, yeah, but the eagerness, I think the group that was the most eager were the 25 to 35s. I could fill those events with such ease. And so my theory is that they had been on the apps long enough to maybe get a little tired of them and were ready for something new and still really eager to find their person. So
yeah. Now, Sabrina, we got a message from Kirsten, and it's about this actually. It's about the 55 plus events. If folks are looking for events like this, Kirsten is asking about 60 plus events. How do you go about looking for that? What do you recommend?
it's really tricky. And so even for us, it took the full 2 years for me to kind of find the courage and the people to fill the 55 plus event. A lot of advertising was done on social media, and it's harder to reach that age range when not as many of them are available there. And so I know for me, planning events, finding the men in that age category was a really tricky kind of piece of the puzzle. I don't know that there are other speed dating outfits right now running that age group. I know there's a few other companies offering kind of in the 20 to 45 range, but there is a missing piece in the industry for the kind of 45 plus crowd to meet each other. And so definitely something that could be needed to kind of bring those folks together and help them find each other.
I love it. Yeah, definitely need more opportunities. And you saw a need for opportunities. You created Winnipeg Connect. Why did you start it? What were you seeing?
So my day job is a mental health therapist. I work with adults, and we were coming out of COVID, and there was just a lot of loneliness and a lot of patterned disconnection after all of the restrictions and kind of the caution around being in spaces together. And so it feels like we kind of lost the ability to remember how to show up and be with people. And so in the absence of having any sort of new friend, new connection building spaces in the city to send people to, I figured we'd give it a try. And so in 2022, we started our first speed dating event with a 30 to 40-year-old event, and it worked. And kind of buzz got generated, and we kind of kept hosting about one a month. And then we added some speed friending and just community-focused events like trivia, where people could come on their own with the intention of making new friends. And so I kind of say that it was almost like a community playground, and I felt like the community mom who would kind of just gather people in the same space with the same intention of building new connections and new relationships of all kinds.
Right. I have more questions about Winnipeg Connect, but we got a call from Gloria. We have someone who is willing to share their meet cute story. Hi, Gloria.
Hi there.
I would love to hear. Hello. Do we have you on the line?
Yep.
Amazing. I'd love to hear your story.
Okay, it's just about 42 years ago now. There was a whole bunch of us. We were out playing touch football, and this guy caught this ball, and I thought, there's no way. He's going for a touchdown. He's going to get it. So I tackled the guy, and he kind of thought, oh, this is kind of fun. It was supposed to be touch, but, get a little aggressive here. Anyway, and so anyway, he got my number and stuff eventually and gave me a call, and he asked me to a Bomber and BC Lions football game, thinking she likes football. She's going to maybe say yes. So, and here we are just about 42 years later. So anyway, it all turned out great.
Gloria, I love that. Is football still a part of your relationships? Are you still going on dates to Bomber games?
Well, we enjoy sports. We watch lots at home. We do some hockey and football games, but we don't go out that often to those. But we're from the country, so it makes a little difference. But yeah.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Gloria.
Okay, thank you.
And congrats on 42 years together. Oh, I love that. Sabrina, you're smiling. Big smile. What are you thinking?
I love hearing the ordinariness. These aren't these deeply romantic experiences. They're not contrived. I think these moments where these sparks happen are just people out living their lives, doing their thing, trying something new, having fun. And it's in those kind of organic moments that these really magical little sparks fly. And I just love hearing kind of how inconsequential and yet how special something like that is.
Yeah, me too. And if you want to share your story with us about how you met either your significant other or maybe just a really good friend, you can call us at 204-780-0893. That's 204-780-0893. You can also send us a text message at 204-588-7355. Share your story like Gloria did. That was absolutely lovely. Now, Sabrina, show director Sierra has joined us in the studio because Sierra has her meet cute story to share.
Well, my meet cute story starts from a dating app. I mean, I feel like I was speaking to some of our colleagues in the newsroom, and I feel like many of our relationships and meet cutes have started here here in Winnipeg on a dating app. So it was Hinge, and I was late.
You were late to the first date.
I was late to the first date. I know. I'm a very prompt person, and I haven't been late to anything since, but I was late to our very first date. I decided to do a workout class before our first date. Don't worry, I showered.
Okay,
I did everything I needed to do
I was
afterwards.
If you were good to go.
But he had mentioned, my partner Carson, he had mentioned, I have to do something after work, but I should be free around 5 o'clock. I was like, okay, perfect. It's gonna be a little after 5. I'm gonna take this workout class right after work. It's gonna time out perfectly. No, he ended up getting there around like 4:45 as my workout class wasn't even finished yet, and I still had to shower and do the whole thing and get ready after my workout class. And so, I ended up being late for the first date, but that didn't cloud his judgment, thankfully.
Nice.
And we ended up having a great time, and he's a yapper just like me, and we just talked, and then the date just kept going after. There was a second location. We went to the beer can after our original location. So again, something ordinary, and just connecting with someone on a level or someone that's on the same level as you. Mm-hmm. And here we are. We've been together for about I guess yesterday was 8 months. We've been together for 8 months. So far so good. Lovely. And I've been on time to every single date since. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sierra.
Thanks,
love that story. Now, if you want to share your meet cute cute story. Maybe you were late for your first date. You can tell us. You can call us at 204-780-0893 or send us a text at 204-588-7355. It's really those ordinary things that stand out for a lot of those meet cute stories. Sabrina, a lot of people say Winnipeg is a tough place to meet someone. Sierra just mentioned dating apps. You know, a lot of us these days will use them because it does feel hard to meet people just out and about. What do you say to that idea that Winnipeg is a hard place to meet people?
I think it really depends on how much effort you're willing to put in. I think the culture has changed where we're not as ready to just walk up to a stranger and introduce ourselves as maybe we would have been 20 years ago. Even when you think about like getting a phone call, like if someone doesn't text first, I often don't answer my phone. So if I'm not going to answer my phone for someone maybe that I even know, then it's a little bit weird to just show up next to someone at the grocery store and be like, hey, can I have your number? And so I do think there is maybe some fear of being socially inappropriate or fear of putting someone on the spot that stops us from maybe moving towards some of these organic kind of meet cute potential moments. I do think there's an element where we have to show up and put ourselves out there and be brave and like go live our life and put ourselves in spaces where we are going to meet people. And whether that's joining a club, organizing something around an interest you already have, we want to be able to practice showing up and being with people. And I think that maybe is where some of this skill deficit lies, that we're not actually getting out there and doing as much. We're at home swiping, which also can work. But we're not going to meet people organically, in these kind of settings if we're not putting ourselves out there. So I think it is tricky to meet people probably across the board, but we have a sense of responsibility if we want to go put ourselves out there to be seen. And I think that's the part we can play in it.
That's fantastic advice. Now, we have a few calls actually now. Hopefully, we can get some more inspiration on getting out there and being open to relationships. We've got Donna on the line. And Donna, you have a bit of a musical story here about how you met your partner.
Yes, I do. We met on the first day, both of our first days at the Faculty of Music at the University of Manitoba.
Amazing. Was it like you love at first sight, or how long did it take before you started dating?
Absolutely. I had decided I was done with guys. I'd had a couple of bad relationships, and I walked in that first day. He was sitting on the stairs, and somebody said, hey, you need to meet Jim. And he turned around and he smiled, and that was it. I was gone. And he was in a relationship at the time, so we became friends, and then that relationship ended, and then right after that, I thought, okay, this won't ever work because he'll have to mourn that relationship. But then sure enough, he said, no, I don't. I'm ready to go. And that's it. We've never looked back.
That is so lovely. Donna, can I ask what did you study musically?
He was a guitarist and I was a singer. And ironically, I actually teach at the Faculty of Music now and have had many students get together in my classes that I always sit and giggle about because I think about how I met my husband there. So
I love that story. Thank you so much for calling, Donna. Really appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day.
You're very welcome. Happy Valentine's to you.
Oh, I adore that. We're going to keep the calls going because we're getting a lot of calls here. Camille joins us, and you also met someone in kind of a work environment.
That's true. And like Donna, we met at the University of Manitoba. So I like that there's that segue. I got a job on campus sorting and collecting recyclables. So we would pour out the recyclables onto the table, like off milk, moldy yogurt, sometimes, unfortunately, urine.
Not the most romantic job in the world.
No, it smelled awful. And we bonded over this recycling table. And again, like Donna, we were friends for a while before we became a couple. And that was 15 years ago. So there you go.
Oh, thank you, Camille. I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Take care.
Sabrina, something, other than the U of M connection, something that both of these callers mentioned was friendship was first.
Right. And I think that makes sense, right? There's some really good data around how long it takes to deepen relationship. And I think a casual friend takes 20 hours of connecting. I want to say a good friend was 60 and maybe a best friend was 200. You can search up the stats, but there's hours. And so as we collect hours in contact with people, we're building relational intimacy. And so that kind of slow roll friendship totally makes sense, because you're kind of collecting these hours and deepening your understanding of each other. I think about my own partner. We met in a tiny little small town and spent so many hours together. We met and were engaged within 4 months, married 5 months later. So like super fast in terms of like calendar time. But in terms of contact hours, we spent 8, 10, 12 hours a day together in this tiny small town.
Right.
And so we built that relational intimacy. And so I love that idea of kind of being in people's orbit, getting to know them, building up that appreciation and curiosity about who they are, and then deepening it into a dating relationship from there.
And I think friendship is important in romantic relationships as well. Like you have to have that, that you should hopefully be friends with the person that you're in a romantic relationship with as well. We got a text from Allison here. Allison says, I moved here. Okay, number time. I'm great with numbers. I moved 3,980 kilometers across the country and then fell in love with the man who owned the house next to my mother's house. 5 years on February 28th. Moved from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Sifton, Manitoba. So there's a distance aspect there. That is lovely. Thank you for that text, Allison. These stories make me so happy, Sabrina.
Yeah.
If people are listening and maybe they're having a Valentine's Day where they don't have a romantic partner, then maybe they're not spending it with friends. We talked about putting yourself out there and going into spaces where there's the opportunity to meet people. But if folks are feeling nervous about that, what sort of tips would you give them? What sort of good icebreakers are there that they can use if they do want to start talking to more folks?
Yeah, I think that being able to sometimes bring a friend with you to some of those situations can be helpful. I know that some speed daters would have a friend kind of sitting off to the side and they would come with them to the event, just as kind of a grounding person. And I'll often say, go with something that already aligns with who you are. If you run, go to a run crew. If you like puzzles, go to a puzzle night. Don't try and do something that puts you so out of your comfort zone that you've got to handle the awkwardness of new people and a new activity that you maybe aren't really interested in. So I don't know. I think being able to do time limited things that have some element of structure or organization, which is I think part of what speed dating was intended to offer, is that we had the box for you to kind of come put yourself into, and the structure would carry you through the evening. So you could be super introverted, super nervous, and just not really feel comfortable with the whole thing, but you knew where to be at every moment. So you could still kind of get bumped along throughout the night and end with an evening having met 15 other people. And so find something that works for you. If the structure of a speed dating works, amazing. If you're into something more organic, join a walking crew, a running crew, a dodgeball group, a puzzle group, a book club. I think what I hear in the meet cute stories is it's just people living ordinary life, bumping into other people by and large.
Yeah.
You show up online and meet for coffee. You meet your neighbor. You talk to the guy that lives across the hall from you in the apartment.
Sabrina, I do have to cut you off here. The show is about to wrap, but I so appreciate you joining us here on Radio Noon.
Thank you so much for having me, Chloe.
Sabrina Friesen is the creator of Winnipeg Connect events. Thank you for listening to Radio Noon. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you to Dylan Longhurst, Sierra Sanders, Wendy Parker, and Kevin Nipa-Table for making the show happen. I'm Chloe Friesen. Thanks for listening. Coming up next is the CBC Podcast Showcase.